Are you serious? Get some coffee. What? They have this unbelievable discovery in Jerusalem today. Ancient Roman road exposed in Jerusalem. I want to thank Stephen of Oklahoma for this information. The worn down flat stones of an ancient Roman road have been unearthed in Jerusalem. According to the Israeli Antiques Authority, 1,800 years ago, the road was one of two imperial arteries that connected Jerusalem to the ancient coastal city of Jaffa, now part of Tel Aviv, Israel. A well-preserved section of the path was exposed in northern Jerusalem during an excavation ahead of an installation of a drainage pipe. Several segments of the road were previously excavated by research expeditions of the IAA, but such a finely preserved section of the road has not been discovered in the city of Jerusalem until now. The Romans attached great importance to the roads in the empire. They invested large sums of money and utilized most advanced technological aids of the period in order to crisscross the empire with roads. These served the government, the military, the economy, and public by providing an efficient, safe means of passage. Way stations and roadside inns were built along the roads, as well fortresses in order to protect the travelers. So all of this was pretty amazing that they found these roads from 1,800 years ago in excellent condition, linking again the old city of Jerusalem, the ancient city of Jerusalem, to the days that it was under the Roman Empire. Of course, it was the Romans that destroyed the temple, the second temple, Herod's temple as it's known, in 70 A.D., prophesied by Jesus Christ that would happen. And so now we're having another touch of history, another biblical experience, if you will, of the Holy Land, confirming very scriptures and very historical findings by Josephus and others of the days of the Roman Empire. Let me also say to you that we have some more information coming out of Israel, and I'm going to thank Larry Britt for this. Benjamin Netanyahu is willing to give up to 90% of Judea and Samaria if it means getting a peace agreement. A report coming out today on this June the 27th, 2013, quotes top ministers in the Benjamin Netanyahu government are prepared to give up to 90% of Judea and Samaria in a deal with the Palestinian Authority. If Netanyahu is satisfied that Israel's security needs are accounted for, the report quoted the ministers are saying nearly all of Judea and Samaria outside of the large settlement blocks could be handed over to the Palestinian Authority. Isolated communities would be demolished, with residents forced to settle elsewhere. Now, the last time that happened, when George Bush was president, and he forced that to happen, Katrina formed. So I would really, really be careful about pushing Israeli citizens off their own properties. If you're going to work out a deal where it's primarily already Palestinians living over in the West Bank, that's one thing. But to uproot Israeli citizens from their own homes in the land of Israel would not be a smart move. It would actually be offending the apple of God's eye, which we can read about in Zechariah chapter 2. Now, the ministers also said that the possibility of a major Israeli withdrawal from Judea and Samaria was not at all remote. But Benjamin Netanyahu said he knows that the next round of talks under the sponsorship of U.S. Secretary of State John F. Kerry would be dealing with substantial issues, such as the borders of the Palestinian state. The maximum Israel would be able to get in such a deal, the minister said, is about 10% of Judea and Samaria. Netanyahu understands this, but nevertheless is willing to enter into negotiations with the Palestinian Authority. So he's not saying that he would give up 90%, but he is willing to sit down at the table knowing that that's on the table. But what is it that the Palestinians are willing to live with? And can Israel get to build the third temple during its negotiations? And as I told you, and if you watch my video, go to my website, go to the page, the 12 prophecies of the year 2013. One of them is, of course, that they would work diligently to try to sign this peace agreement, the 7-year peace agreement, which is basically a confirming the covenant, which is in Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. Obama administration certainly is participating in Bible prophecy. There's no doubt about that. And also, let me just say this. Penny sent this to me today from Pennsylvania. Jewish leaders are endorsing John F. Kerry's push for peace. According to Washington, D.C., in a meeting with Senate Democrats, top pro-Israeli leaders have endorsed Obama's administration's latest Israeli-Palestinian peace bid and warned that the recent Iranian election was of little consequences. Now, Michael Kassan, the president of the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, began his talk at the meeting Wednesday with what participants say was a hearty endorsement of the efforts by John F. Kerry, United States Secretary of State. Kerry, earlier this month, in an address to the American Jewish Committee, had asked for Jewish supporters in advancing the peace process, which he has said is critical to the reconvene in the coming months. He's arriving in Jordan this week for another round of meetings with Israeli and Palestinian officials. According to participants who described the off-the-record meeting in the capital, Kassan said much of the burden of reviving the talks lies with the Palestinian Authority, which has resisted returning to the talks until Israel freezes settlement expansions. Now, also endorsing the process is Rabbi Steve Gutto, who directs the Jewish Council for Public Affairs and the umbrella of the Jewish Public Policy Body. So we're going to have to see now how that plays out. Now, if you want to know what the scriptures say, let me just quickly grab Daniel and go to Daniel chapter 9 and read to you about the confirming of the covenant. The Bible tells us, and I'll start reading here in verse 24. This is Daniel 9:24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity and to bring an everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks. And that's where a lot of people believe that means 7 years, okay? And that the 70 weeks meant 70 years from the formation of Israel as a nation on May the 14th, 1948. Well, Israel formed as a nation for the first time on May 14th, 1948, signed by the United Nations vote. And that's been 65 years. So how close are we to fulfilling this prophecy? Well, the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks, or 62 weeks, plus 7 weeks would be 69. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks, 62 weeks, shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the end thereof shall be with a flood. Unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. Now, that has a lot to do with the Psalms 83 war and even the Zechariah 14 war. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week or 7 years. In the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation. And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So they're working hard to confirm this covenant. Very hard. Matter of fact, they might sign it this year. The Lord showed me. He had a 50-50 chance. It's up to men. God won't withhold it. The time is right. give your life to Jesus Christ.